Welcome to Discovery! Welcome everyone to another episode of Discovery. I thought we'd go outside today because it's such a beautiful fucking day here in my town. This weekend has been crazy in terms of metal releases. We've had some fantastic albums this weekend. We've got some metalcore for you. We also got some black metal. We also got some alternative metal for you. We got all different kinds of metal this Discovery. And you know what? I'm excited. So let's get on with it. So coming first is Endseeker and their album Mount Carcass. They released the album last week through Metal Blade Records. Now, I was sleeping on this album for a few days, but what brought my attention to this album was the Metal Meltdown's review, and he liked it, and I thought I'd listen to it, and holy shit, this is a fantastic album overall. Like Unholy Rites, Merciless Tide, that unbelievable guitar medley throughout Countless the Dead. They incorporate more of that old school death metal with some very technical elements, but I just really enjoy his vocals. His vocals are very intense throughout the album. As you all know, that I did make the best death metal albums of 2021 so far. I was so close, so fucking close in actually putting this in my top 10, but what does let the album down, in my opinion, is the closing track, Escape from New York, which is an instrumental. I feel that this shouldn't have ended off this LP. What can I say? Mount Carcass by Endseeker is a pretty solid album for what it is. It's going to get an 8.5 out of 10. Next up is an alternative metal band, new metal incorporating elements of metalcore. You can't hear this album unfortunately yet, but I did. It was released through Napalm Records, Tetrarch, if that's how you pronounce it, and their album Unstable. If you like Korn, if you like Slipknot, if you like Linkin Park, you're gonna fucking well love this. This is a combination. You can tell that this band was inspired by Linkin Park, Korn, Slipknot, and any other new metal band out there. An eerie sort of album. There are some heavy elements on this LP. There are also some breakdowns, very similar to the band Teller, except in my opinion, I just feel that Tetrarch is just a little bit better than Teller musically. This is a really good album overall, and the vocals sound like at times the late Chester Bennington. I really enjoyed this album, really loved I'm Not Right. Negative Noise is more of a Slipknot-y kind of song, which I do really enjoy. The riffs on this are pretty catchy. Then you got some close to cheesy but cliche sort of songs, like We Are the Psychos, We're the Untouchables. Like the song Pushed Down, which is cheesy and cliche, but I just really do enjoy the melodies on this. Now, I showed Quest for Metal. I showed Quest for Metal this album. I thought it was a really great album. There's also some great goddamn guitar solos on this. It's just a really enjoyable LP. So if you like alternative metal, elements of new metal, elements of metalcore, you're gonna really love Tetrarch and the album Unstable. This will be released through Napalm Records on April 30th, 2021. Tetrarch and the album Unstable, it's going to get a 8 out of 10. Now we go to some doomy shit, some incredibly crushing riffs, some agonizing, painful moments. We're talking about Buried Beneath the Rotting Earth by the band Body Void. This is a Funeral Doom album with some hardcore melodic vocals. The vocals are incredibly shrieky and just overall complements musicianship. The musicality on this album, the riffs are crushing. It's like a guitar or a drum kit just smashes on your back. This is an incredibly heavy album by this band. Songs are over 10 minutes. One of the songs are around about 14 to 15 minutes. Songs like Wound, Laying Down in the Forest Fire, Fawn and Pale Man have such crushing moments. There are some pulse-pounding moments, and this is a pretty political driven album. What is happening with the pandemic, regardless of the lyrics, the overall structure on this album is crushing. It really is. It's Funeral Doom, one of the best Funeral Doom albums of 2021 in my opinion. This is really good. Like I said, the vocals aren't guttural or deep They're much more higher, much more shriekier, but it just complements this album for what it is. What can I say? The guitar tone is caked with static, and it's just a very slow and doomy, sludgy album. So with Body Void, Bury Me Beneath the Rotting Earth, it's going to get a solid 9 out of 10. Now we go to a very different sort of polarizing genre. We're talking about alternative metal again, incorporating elements of metalcore. We got Misery and their album The Brighter Side of Death through the record label A Rising Empire. They are a Swedish alternative metalcore band, and you know what, this album is pretty solid. This does remind me of bands such as Motionless in White, especially with the synths that build throughout this album. The synths are really the star on this album, along with the guitar work. This is quite a technical sort of piece. The vocals have close to emo effect, especially the choruses. The choruses are pretty catchy, they're pretty melodic as well, and it's just a really catchy sort of album. Now, I did enjoy this album. I thought this is a pretty solid LP for what it is. They incorporate more gothic elements along with synthesizers that create this melody throughout this album. Got songs like Ballad of the Headless Horseman, Buried, Mr. Hyde. That is an awesome song. I'll Never Be Yours, Under the Moonlight, Home Through Hell, a much more heavier song. There are some lighter songs on this album, and there are some heavier songs on this album. So for Mr. Misery, In the Brighter Side of Death, it will get a solid 7.5 out of 10. Now we go to one of the most anticipated albums of the year for me. We got Paysage the Heaver and the album Geister. What can I say? This is a very simple sort of album by Paysage the Heaver, and their last album, their debut album, Involved, was a masterpiece, running around 2 hours with so many technical elements, lo-fi production, and just atmosphere that just drenches your whole body. Involved was an eye-opener for many black metal fans that didn't like lo-fi production. In Paysage the Heaver, Winter, that's his name, decided to, change their sound a bit, especially on Geister. Geister has more of a simple approach, more riffs. This is a pretty riff-tastic time. The production is smooth. Gone is the lo-fi production, apart from his vocals. The guitars are incredibly prominent on this. Drum tone is, again, quite high within the mix. Production is pretty good. His vocals are lower within the overall mix. I do enjoy the production, but Winter creates this simple sort of Paysage the Heaver album. Honestly, did not expect. We thought it would probably be another Involved, but he has created some simple songs, but in my opinion, it's simple done right. This is a very good black metal album, and I do really enjoy it. Some of the songs do sound the same, but it follows a concept. Again, this album is again caked with atmosphere. It's a pretty atmospheric album. The guitars on this are just really good. I love the guitar tone. I love the melodies on this. It's just the chainsaw guitars at times that just make you want to bang your head. This is a simple album, but it's a simple album done right by Paysage the Heaver. With 11 songs, running about an hour and 10 minutes. What can I say? This is a very different album by Paysage, but the more you listen to it, the more you start to really enjoy it. But I feel that the repetitive factor on this album is going to lack. It's like I've listened to this album a few times now, and it's got some great moments. It really does. But the repetitive factor for me to want to listen to this album, I don't really want to pick up Geister again. I'd rather listen to Involved than Geister, in my opinion. Because Involved was such an atmospheric album, but if you want a shorter Paysage the Heaver album, definitely check out Geister, because that's only an hour and 10 minutes, with a ambient sort of track to end off the album. Most of these songs by Paysage do sound the same, and that's my honest opinion. They do sound the same, especially the riffs, the guitar riffs, at times predictable moments, but yeah, Paysage the Heaver Geister still gets an 8 out of 10. Now we go to some true metal, that's right. An album that really took me by surprise. This is a power metal album sounding very similar to Manowar. Feanor, and the album Power of the Chosen One. Now, the reason why it sounds like Manowar is because of the guitar. The ex-vocalist, Kevin Shankel, I think his name is featured on this album. He is the guitarist, and my god, you get some juicy fucking guitar work on this LP. Songs like Rise of the Dragon, The Power of the Chosen One, and to end off this album, there's a 19-minute epic called Return of the Metal King. It's such an epic song overall. Some symphonic elements are featured on this album. Some great guitar work. The vocals are a little hit and miss for me, but you know what? The vocals do grow on you a little bit after you listen to this album a few more times. But yeah, Feanor, The Power of the Chosen One, has some great vibes to it. It's very fun. It's power metal, incorporate elements of heavy metal, and just it's a really fun time. I really did enjoy it. The Return of the Metal King being my favorite song off the album. We got songs like Rise of the Dragon, Meadowland, How Is Waiting. The chants on this are fantastic. The album cover is amazing as well. They hail from Argentina, and this album was released through Massacre Records this week. Feanor, The Power of the Chosen One, will get a solid 8 out of 10. So now we talk about a band hailing from New England, Conclave, and the album Dawn of Days. Drew Argonian, that's Elder Scrolls, Argonauts Records. This reminds me of Black Sabbath. It does. It's doomy, there are elements of sludge, but the riffs on this remind me of Black Sabbath, especially out of Master Reality. They incorporate some stoner doom elements, but the vocals are incredibly harsh. They're guttural. This is more of a death doom sort of album, except imagine Black Sabbath, death doom. Very similar bands like God Rhythm, except with harsher vocals. This album is just a really good album. Dawn of Days, Death Blows Cold, got songs like Haggard, Throne of Spikes, that solo on it, and Suicide Funeral is one of the best songs of 2021. I loved it. I love the guitar melodies, the drumming is spectacular, it's slow, it's doomy, it's sludgy, and this is one of the best doom metal albums along with Body Void. So we got two fantastic doom metal albums this week. I love the vocals. They're incredibly guttural and demonic at times, and definitely telling a story. But yeah, the guitar tone's fantastic, the drum tone is amazing, the production is good overall, and just the overall riffages, the songwriting, the musicality, it's definitely must listen if you like doom metal. Conclave, Dawn of Days, gets an 8.5 out of 10. Okay, so now we move on to the negatives on the Discovery, and we're talking about Altarage, whatever you want to call it, and the album Succumb. Now, I was looking forward to this album, and especially the reviews that were coming out, like a lot of people were really enjoying it. Now, one of my main pet hates on this LP is the production. Production is incredibly muddy on this. I don't like the production on this album. The vocals are okay. It's a long album for a death metal LP. My favorite song is obviously B. Ooh. My favorite song is obviously Devorado de Mundos. That is a much more doomy and ambient sort of track. Really do enjoy how different that song is from any other song. This is another dissonant death metal album, although I feel this is definitely one of the worst dissonant death metal albums of the year at the moment. I listened to this album a few times, and you know what? I got bored halfway through it. The fucking production really let this album down. If it had cleaner production, it would have been a much better cohesive album. Although I feel like the songwriting on this isn't that great as well. It had a noise in which they definitely experimented. They created this avant-garde sort of style, which I absolutely loved. And then you got this Altourage. Instead, they created an absolute fucking mess sonically. The production is awful on this. The guitar tone is terrible. The vocals are okay. You could guess the drumming sounds like drumming from another fucking country. It's just all over the place, this album, Altarage. And I just didn't really enjoy it. Did not enjoy it. Altarage Succumb was a absolute piece of work, that's for sure. Way too long, overhyped. Devorado de Mundos, definitely one of the best songs off the album. On time signatures, proggy as well, quite technical, but it's a fucking mess. Is not good at all. 3 out of 10. And finally, we move on to one of the best black metal albums of the year at the moment. It is an incredible ride, that's for sure. We're talking about the cosmic black metal band Spectral and the album Eterόφωτος. What can I say? This is just an absolutely incredible album by Spectral. This is one of his best albums, one of Alos's best albums. Just an incredible amount of work has been put on this album. Got songs like The Golden Armor, Initiation to the Mystery, and the first song, which I can't really pronounce, has a Tool vibe on it. It's got Tool, it reminds me of Dream Theater at times, like something out of Home from Metropolis Part 2 Scenes from Memory. It's just so much happening, especially at the end of the first song, which has a Tool vibe, and I absolutely love. Got songs like The Golden Armor, which is so avant-garde, so technical, so proggy as well. Got the guitar tone, which the guitar tone on this is absolutely fantastic. Love the guitar work, love the screechy moments, the pinch harmonics, the riffages, create this sort of dissonant melodies. This is again a dissonant sort of black metal album. This is definitely one of the most intense Spectral albums I've ever heard in my life. I was expecting something very similar to something out of like Mare Cognitum, Solar Paroxysm, except this album really surprised me. In my opinion, I think Spectral is the weakest out of Mare Cognitum, but not after this album. Spectral definitely proved me wrong with this. The Sorcerer Above the Clouds. There are some synths building that create this atmospheric vibe, creates this cosmic black metal atmosphere, which I absolutely love. Apocalypse is another great song, but then you got track 7, which is a sort of drony, very atmospheric, and I feel this is a waste away track by Spectral. It would have been a 10 out of 10, except Tyrian, the 20 minutes ambient blizzardry track. Sounds like a fucking blizzard is blowing through your ears throughout most of the song. It's a pretty good atmospheric track, you could say. But I just feel, yeah, this should have not been on this album. For Spectral, Eterόφωτος is going to get a 9 out of 10. I only listened to track 1 to 6 and not the last track. But you know what? Respect to Spectral. He absolutely did a fantastic job on this album. So a 9 out of 10 it gets. So guys, comment below what you thought about Discovery this week. What bands did you discover as well this weekend? Are you going to check out any of the bands I mentioned? And yeah, just comment below what you want, like how's the weather where you are, or something like that. I don't know, just comment. And I will see you in the next one.